I mean, we did Dion and the Belmonts. He was living down in Florida. He had just had Abraham, Martin, and John, and we did about 5 sides on him. We did Petula Clark, Lulu, Carmen McRae, just about every act of Sam and Dave. We did.
You weren't on. I was gonna ask with the Sam and Dave. What Sam and Dave songs are you on? You're not on any of the nasty.
They had American Bandstand was still on. They were rating a record, and I don't even know the name of the song we were on, but we did not pass. we flunked. They gave thumbs down. The record that we played on, but so I don't think it was a hit. But the record. Who else did we do? Oh, we did. I told you Ronnie Hawkins, which was great, and. We did Sam the Sham, Sam Samudi, yeah, and I think we did who else? Let me think. The group called Eric Quincy Tate. I'm sure there were some other, besides Aretha. Oh, Brooke Benton. Yeah, we did a couple albums with Brooke Benton.
Yeah, that's a real sick array of cats, dude. That you were. I mean, I still can't quite get over. You were kind of like, what was it, like the Funk Brothers of Criteria or whatever?
Well, yeah, exactly. No, that's that was.
Is that a good analogy?
Well, yeah, in that day in the late '60s, early '70s, everybody had a rhythm section. You just wanted to be able. Producers wanted to be able to come in and depend on these, this group. You already had sounds. You could just come in and say, "Here's the song," and you could. So it was sort of in a way, you were all set up to basically cut tracks, and then you could embellish them any way you wanted to.
They bring you in the charts.
No. They just brought the songs in, and we do head charts. They had gotten away from written charts, and that was part of the whole aspect of in the mid '60s in New York, they used everything was written out, and so no, they when they started going down south, they started using head charts, which basically you'd listen to the song, you'd write a chart out what the chord changes were, and everybody would sort of designate what who's got the intro. Who's doing the fills? Where's the what's the solo going to be? That kind of thing, and that was pretty much all through the '70s, and it's still that way. I mean, people don't write out rhythm sections that often now anymore. They leave it to the rhythm section to come up with the sort of the feel and the groove.
Man, you've been part of the history of how things have been done and revised and redone. A final thing, the Black and White Night TV event with Roy Orbison. How'd you get involved to be part of that? He's this, one of the all-time legends. Then again, you've worked with a lot of them. So any highlights of that and sort of like encapsulate how you were brought into that one?
Well, through Jimmy. And Will Jennings, who was a writer, who we wrote 2 albums with, Last Mango in Paris and Who's the Blonde Stranger, or the I guess what's the one before Last Mango. Will and I and Jimmy wrote a majority of those songs together, and Will was a big fan. He's originally from Texas, big fan of Roy's, and we recorded both those albums in Nashville, and he said, "Well, why don't we get Roy to sing on one?" And so Will called him up, and so all right, so I meet Roy. I was co-producing with Tony Brown and Jimmy Bourne, and he sings on the record, and Roy and Barbara decide to move back to California. And they move out there, and at the same time that this is happening, his record label, Monument Records, who, we spoke about on the radio show, Chris Christopherson was on Monument, and that's who signed Roy after he did the Sun albums. I mean, not albums, sides in Memphis was Monument. It's Fred Foster. But anyway, they had gone belly up, and so Roy wanted to put out, he sort of a resurgence of his career. He wanted to put out his greatest hits, which there's gobs of them. But he couldn't get to the masters because, the bank owned them. So he said, well, I'll just make a remake of the greatest hits. And so he said, Will was living in California too, and I was too. And he said, who can I use to do this? And he said, well, why don't you call Mike? And so I did it. I met with he and Barbara. And so I transcribed all the things and got a rhythm section together of some of the session players out in Los Angeles. And it was a small rhythm section. And so, it was on a budget, because it was he was going to put it out on one of the telemarketing labels. And so we did it. And it was great working with Roy, because another one, it was like me listening to Aretha when I was a kid. When I was a real kid, Ooby Dooby used to come on on the jukebox at Moxley's Clear Pool, the swimming pool in the town I grew up in. And I used to hear it all the time. I said, God, I love that. So we got to do that, and he got to play guitar, and it was great, because he doesn't really, and he would start laughing when he was doing it. He said, these kids over here in England, they ask, how do you do that? He says, I don't know how to do it. I just play it, and it, just to work with Roy. And he sang great. Anyway, we did that album. And, of course, he puts it out, and then he signs this deal with Virgin. And Barbara gets this deal with the Black and White Knight to do this idea was T-Bone had started Burnett had started working with Roy with the David Lynch film, and they did they do a remake of was it Crying? I can't remember the song, but anyway, so T-Bone got Elvis Costello, Barbara got Springsteen, and then put together the Elvis rhythm section, which was Ronnie Tutt and those guys, and so that was the rhythm section. And then they got Tom Waits, and then Bonnie was a background singer. Jackson was a background singer. J.D. Souther put the background singers together, and so we did it. And and since I'd already done those charts for the remakes, so I just adapted them for the live television thing. For the film, and
so you're MD on that too.
Yes, yeah. And so I do that, and then what was strange about that, it was another situation. They had one camera, and they shot it, and Roy was terrific, but it was like one rehearsal, so we had to repair a lot of the things, and which is not unusual for to make it as good as you can. But
repair meaning like reshoot? Well,
not reshoot. That's what I'm saying. They couldn't reshoot, so we just repair instruments. Like they couldn't get the violins on. It's a remote truck. It wasn't a studio situation, so we had to get the violins back in and the strings back in, redo those because they didn't have them recorded. They were on camera, but but they hadn't been recorded. Yeah, they didn't have it. We didn't have the audio. So anyway, we did that, and the backgrounds came in and helped their parts and everything. And but it's funny if you watch that video. I'll be being the musical director. I didn't play that. I played on a couple things, but I was clapping and and enjoying myself. I'll be completely out of time. It's because they had to take the shot. From the audio didn't match the yeah, exactly. So, but that's just something I noticed. But it's just like, boy, he's a musician, really.
Yeah, it's glaring to you.
Yeah. But anyway, that and I just sort of because I'd done that greatest hits that really never came out, because they eventually got the masters back from Monument and put it out on
put the originals out.
Put the originals out, which was the best way to go. But it's just that's how I got involved with him.
So that stuff is shelved and never.
I don't know where it is. I'm sure. Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where it is. Yeah, But it, you know, actually it did make it out for a while. But once he had the Virgin deal, after the Black and White Night, they pulled it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was used.
Yeah, yeah.
The remade versions, yeah. Man, you're a lucky cat. Well,
I am.
Yeah, you are, and I know that, and that's what's cool. You're very grateful. You have that Southern spirit too, that Southern hospitality. I just leave you with the thought: you guys are regulars here. You're probably going to come back another time, and I'll still have this gig and be doing the afternoons here in Honolulu. I'd love for we have this. It's called the Atherton at HPR. It's like a 75-seat performance studio. It's called our Atherton Performing Arts Studio. And it's really nice wood, and I've done Ziggy Marley Unplugged in there. I had the great Ben Vereen in there doing a little thing. Toad the Wet Sprocket singer, Airborne Toxic Event, Godsmack, all kinds of different people, the wide spectrum of artists, as you can hear. And it would be wonderful if there's any way to coordinate something. You know, I'll work with you. It'd be like maybe we have a really nice piano in there too. Just do an interview and have you just sit there, and maybe we could talk a little bit about music. It would just be fun down the road one of these times in the future.
You bet. I'd love to do that. I'd love to, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm sure, hopefully, yeah, I'm sure we'll be back, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, you're gonna be back. I gotta believe you guys are gonna be back, and it's been a pleasure. I really do appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.